Hi guys, welcome back to Cooking with John. Today I'm going to do a great Chinese dish which is beef flank with mooli. You find this in really good Cantonese restaurants. It's quite rare, it's generally off the more authentic side of the menu, and I came across it just by chance when deciding to try something different for a change, and came across this, and it really is a fantastic dish. It's a great stew which you wouldn't normally associate with Chinese food perhaps. Normally expect everything being fast. This is nice and slow cooked, and it's a really warming dish. It's great comfort food. So I hope you enjoy this. So let's get cracking. Okay guys, so I'm just going to run through the ingredients with you for this. So the main part of this dish is beef, and in this case it's beef flank. Now, I'm using beef flank because that's the traditional one that the Chinese actually do use, but you can use any good stewing steak, like braised steak and anything like that, but you do want to make sure that you've got a decent amount of fat. Now, you can see there's quite a bit of fat on this, okay, but that is really essential for the type of dish that it is. Okay, so you've got a good mix of fat and meat in here. Okay, now I've got just under about 2 kilos of beef flank there. That we'll need for this, and this recipe is going to make it'll make enough that will feed at least 6, possibly 8 on this, so you can scale it down if you'd like. Okay, aromatics that we've got that are going to go into this are ginger, and we have garlic. I've got about 5 fat cloves of garlic there, and also some star anise. I've got about 4 or 5 star anise there. The ginger, I've got about a thumb-sized piece, which I've just sliced into 5 or 6 fairly thick slices on there. And then for the sauce, we have got some good oyster sauce, some light soy sauce, some good quality dark soy sauce, a little touch of Shaohsing rice wine in this. It's just going to be a touch. If you don't have this, you can substitute it for dry sherry if you'd like. And then also we have got some fermented bean curd here. Okay, now if you're not familiar with this, you'll find it in your local Chinese supermarket if you have one. It's a really good part of this dish. It's just small cubes of tofu that's been fermented, and it does just melt into the sauce, but this is really what adds to the flavour of this. So you don't even know what's in there apart from the flavour, which is an immense flavour. And this is beef with mooli, so it wouldn't be right without mooli. Okay, now mooli, for anybody that doesn't know, is basically it's like a radish. Okay, it's sometimes known as a Daikon radish. Okay, it can be called a Chinese turnip, even. Okay, this one is classed as a Japanese radish. Okay, so it comes as a bit more stumpy and fat. Okay, and it's white like this. The Chinese one, it's quite long. It's a root vegetable. Okay, it's a great veg that you want. If you do come across these in the supermarket, I urge you to give them a try. It really works fantastic in this dish. Okay, so that is basically it. Other than just some water to chop up, because after all, this is a stew. So we'll move on now with stage 1. Okay guys, so I've got my my beef flank here, which I'm just dicing up. Okay, and I'm dicing it into 1 or 2 inch chunks. Okay, you don't want to cut this too small. Okay, because it will shrink back as it's cooking, and you can be left with just very tiny bits that will break up. So you want to have these fairly chunky. Okay. Now, when you're going through the meat, you may find in certain bits that there's maybe a bit too much fat that's on there. So, of course, you can trim it down a bit if you want, but you do want to leave a fair bit of fat in there. Okay. I have got, see, there's a piece here which has got quite a lot of fat. Well, it's all fat pretty much, but just a very tiny bit of meat. But you do want to include some of this, because what this will do is it will just render down, it will melt away, and it all adds to the flavour. So you do want to include some of that in this dish, because it all adds to the flavour. Okay, so now that my beef is all done, Okay, what we're going to do is, it's a traditional Chinese method here of actually blanching the meat first in hot water. Basically just popping it into boiling water, bring it back to the boil for a minute or so and then drain it off. It doesn't lose flavour, okay, it just basically takes any impurities out of the meat and it starts to seal it. Once that's done, and then we'll go in and we'll actually seal the meat by frying it off in the pan. So we'll just move on to that one for you now. Right guys, okay, so I've got a pan of water here that's just coming up to the boil. Okay, I've only half filled it, obviously because I'm going to add the meat to it and it will increase. You can just put your meat in and then just pour a kettle of boiling water over it if you'd like. Okay, so I'm just going to go in with all of it together at the same time. Just be careful not to splash yourself and burn you. And then just stir it around. All you want to do is for this just to come back up to the boil. Okay, let it boil for about a minute and then switch it off and drain it straight away. And that's basically it for that. So we'll just wait for that to come to the boil. And I'll put the lid on because that will help it come to the boil a little bit faster. Okay guys, now that the beef has been blanched off, okay, I've drained it off and just discarded the water. You don't want to keep that, okay. So it's now drained off and I've just got it sitting in the colander just now, but what we're going to do now is just to seal it off in the pan, okay. So for this, obviously just put your pan onto the heat, okay. Just put a couple of teaspoons worth, maybe a tablespoon or so of oil just into your pan. Let's just get that moving around just to warm up. Got this on a fairly high heat, okay. And then we're just going to pop in some of the beef and that's going to start rolling. You want to do this in batches, you don't want to overcrowd your pan. Otherwise it'll all just start to stew. You actually want this to seal and just take on a little bit of colour. Okay, so we've browned our meat. Okay. This is the last batch. Just giving that a turn over. Okay. You don't have to go too crazy with it and brown it all the way around. You just want a bit of colour around most of them, or most of it, sorry. And that should be fine. So you've got a decent amount of colour here. Okay, so that will do. So I'm just going to turn the heat of the pan down. And that's our beef done. Okay. So now we're going to go on to stage 2. Okay, now stage 2, we want to go in with our aromatics. Okay, so I've got the ginger here, which I've sliced. But what you really want to do, well actually, just to let you know, I've sliced it, but I've still left the skin on. You can leave the skin on this. There's really no need to peel it. Okay, and what you want to do is you just want to batch it with the back of your cleaver or the back of your knife. Okay, and what this will do is it will just start to release some of the oils from this. Okay, and the same with your garlic. You don't want to smash these down too much, but just bruise them slightly. Okay, so we just pop them all under there. There we go. Alright, now these just go into the oil and just gently let them fry slightly. Okay, so we've added our beef back into the pot once the ginger and garlic have been frying for about a minute. Okay, so that's all into there now. Okay, what we want to do now is to just start with our sauce. Okay, so to the pot we want to add the oyster sauce. Okay, and I've got 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce here. Just get all of that out of there. We're also going to go in with 2 tablespoons of light soy sauce and 2 tablespoons of dark soy sauce. There we go. Okay. Just going to give that a little stir around. Now the heat's on low for this so that this doesn't actually burn. Okay, so you just want to get that meat coated in the oyster and soy mixture. That's lovely. Okay, now turn the heat up a little bit more. Okay, and we're going to go in with the Shaohsing wine, okay, or sherry if you can't get this. And we just literally want a capful. It's very little, which a capful, it's probably about what, maybe about 2 teaspoons, and that'll be plenty. It's quite strong stuff. It's not for drinking, only for cooking, but this adds a really lovely flavour to this. Okay. Now we just add the fermented tofu. Okay. Now, if you don't manage to find this, you can substitute it for some hoisin sauce, which again you'll find at your Chinese supermarket. You can find hoisin sauce nowadays in most good supermarkets as well. Okay. Now we only want about 3 or 4 cubes of this. Okay. It comes in cubes like this. Okay, and as I said before, this will just melt down. And it also comes in a bit of a sauce, so you want about 3 or 4 teaspoons of the sauce that comes in with this. There we go. Right, and just mix that in, and that just breaks right down and melts away. And just stir everything together. Okay. There we go. That's starting to smell amazing. Okay, and then in with the star anise. I've got 4 star anise there. Okay, you can use a little bit less if you want, or a little bit more. Okay, just pop them in. And finally, just some water. So you just want enough water to cover this. There we go. Yep, that's worked out fine. There we go. And again, just stir all that round. And that is basically it for the moment. The rest of it is now just to let it cook. Okay, so we're going to go on with the lid. Let that come up to the boil and then drop it down to simmer. Okay, and you really want to simmer this for a good 2 hours to 2.5 hours until that meat is nice and tender. Okay, partway through the cooking, probably after about 1.5 hours to 2 hours, we'll then put the mooli in. So we'll come back to the mooli shortly once this is all done. So when that's done, we move on to stage 3. Okay guys, the beef stew's been simmering away for about 1 hour and 45 minutes. So I'm just now going to crack on with the mooli. Okay, and this is very simple, just same as any other vegetable. You just want to peel it. Okay, so and it's very easy to peel, which is great. It's quite a thin skin, so it's pretty much like a carrot in a way. Like I said, this is the mooli is basically a radish, but it really does have that flavour of a turnip in a way, which is really good. And the reason that this radish is so good in this stew is because it actually soaks in all the flavour. It holds its shape quite well, it doesn't like fall apart, so it can take quite a bit of cooking. It does want to cook for a good hour at least in the stew anyway. If it's undercooked and slightly hard in the middle, then it does have a bit of a bitterness to it. Okay. Now I've got obviously this radish here. It's up to yourself how much you actually put in. Okay. But I'm just going to judge it by eye on this one. I'm just going to take the top and tail off. Okay. And I'm going to cut this Now you want this fairly chunky, okay? So obviously if you do it very small, it probably will fall apart. So I'm just going to cut it lengthways, and I'm cutting it lengthways again into 3 to a fashion. Okay, and then just quite big cubes, so you want them about a couple of centimetres of dice and that. Okay, if some of them are a little bit too big, just chop them down again. Okay, and I'm actually going to do the next one as well. Okay, so I'm cutting all of this up. Okay, I may not put it all in, we'll just actually see how it goes. Now you can prepare this in advance and just pop it into a bowl, cover it with water until you're ready to use it if you want it, rather than waiting for the stew to cook down for a bit. Alright, so we just need to pop this in. Okay, as you can see, this has been simmering away quite nicely, alright, for a couple hours. The meat is starting to become really quite tender, and I'm just going to grab a piece here, and you can see it's quite soft at the moment. It's not completely cooked just yet, it still needs a little bit of time, okay, which is why we're going to put the mooli in at this point, okay, because the mooli wants to cook for a good hour, so just give that a stir around. Alright, okay, so the mooli, just pop it in. Now it's up to you how much you want to put in, alright? So I'm just going to pop this amount in at the moment. Let's see how we do. Just give that a stir around. Generally that's probably actually about enough to be there, so that's basically like 3/4 of the mooli that I had on there. Okay, but again, just doesn't matter if you want a little bit more in there, fire away, put some more in, it's always good. I'm just going to pop another couple in for luck. Okay, so that's done. Back on with the lid, and we now just want that to simmer away for a good hour, possibly an hour and a half, and just check on it, and run a knife into the mooli, and if it goes through just quite nicely where you can feel it's cooked, then basically you're about ready to finalise the dish. So we'll leave that to cook, and we'll be back to finish it off. Okay guys, so the beef and the mooli have been cooking down for a few hours now, and so it's time for us to thicken up the stew. So they're very simple, it's just a mixture of corn flour and water. Okay, so in here I have 3 teaspoons of corn flour, and then I've just got a little touch of a little bit of water here. I'm just going to add that in, and then just give that a mix around. Okay, you don't want too much water in, you do want it to have a consistency of almost like single cream, to make sure that it's still got enough of the corn flour there to actually thicken it. If you put too much water in, it's going to struggle. So as I said, the stew's been cooking away for a while, and you can see how the mooli has taken on the colour of the sauce, and that's exactly what you want. Okay, this has been cooking down for, the mooli's been in here for about an hour and a half now. Okay, so as you can see, like I say, it's got the colour on there. Now you just pop a knife into there, and it's nice and soft. Okay, cuts very easily. Alright, got a slight bite in the middle, okay, which is fine. Okay, you can keep on cooking it for a while. This mooli doesn't tend to break down, so you can keep cooking it if you'd like. Okay, and at this point the meat is all nice and tender. Okay, so I have already fished out the ginger and the star anise from here. All right, it just makes it a little bit easier for when you're serving up. Alright, so I've already done that. So now it's just a case of thickening it. Okay, you obviously want to make sure that it's still boiling at the point where you're going to thicken. Okay, and then you just pop it in, but just make sure that you're stirring all the while when you pop that in. Okay, pop it in and give it a good mix through. I think this is going to need all of this because it's quite a lot. There we go, almost all of it, and you can see that instantly starts to thicken. Okay, now you just want to let that come back up to the simmering point again. Okay, and it'll continue to cook and thicken up. Okay, got a little bit of star anise that left there. You'll find that the star anise will break up as you're cooking. Okay, so just try and fish these out when you see them late on in the cooking. You really don't want to bite into one of these. It's not great if you get one in your mouth. Okay, there we go. So you can see this is thickening up a little bit more now, which is great. There we go. I think that's good. And I've got one little piece of ginger that I missed. It can be a little bit difficult to find them all. And there it is. The garlic has disappeared, okay, because it actually just cooked right down to nothing. Okay, missed another bit of ginger. That should be it. Right, there we go. Now I'm actually just going to put a little bit more of the corn flour mixture in here. I just want it a little bit thicker than that. It's up to yourself, you know, you judge for yourself as to how thick you want the sauce. Okay, well, I'm just going to get all of this in. If you find that it doesn't thicken enough from the corn flour mixture that you've made, that's absolutely fine. You can always just make up a little bit more, but just make sure you bring it back to the boil and pop some more in. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. Okay, I'm just going to let that come back up and simmer again, which is pretty much there, but I'll let it simmer for another minute or two, and then we're ready to serve. Right, okay, so it's time to serve it. So the best way for serving this is on steamed jasmine rice, which I have here. Okay, and we'll just go in with this and go for it. As I said, this is such a comforting, warming dish. It really is so good. You will want to come back for more on this one. So a couple of bits of mooli, a couple of bits of beef, some of the gravy on there, and there we go. So there you have it. There's my version of a classic Cantonese dish of stewed beef flank with mooli served on jasmine rice. Okay, so it's time to give it a try. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to go straight in with the mooli first of all, because I love this. It's really good. Quite hot. Yeah, the mooli's gone nice and soft. Still a bit of a bite in the middle, which is great. But it's soaked in all the flavours from that gravy, which is really good. And also some of the beef here, which is lovely and soft and tender. That's amazing. Really good. I love this dish. So comforting. And then when the gravy gets into the rice, it's just heaven. It's the best thing ever. So, just to let you know, if you want to think about shopping for the ingredients for this recipe, some stuff you may get in your local supermarket, but there's going to be things that you may not be able to get. But your local Chinese supermarket will have everything you need. Okay, and for those of you that are in the northeast of England, here in Newcastle, we have a fantastic Chinese supermarket here called Wing Hong, and they have a supermarket up on Stibble Street in Chinatown, and they also have a larger cash and carry which is also open to the public, and that is down on George Street just behind the Grosvenor Casino. So get yourselves along in there, you'll find everything you absolutely need. It's an amazing store, they've got everything you can actually want. So I hope you enjoy making this this recipe. Give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Again, don't forget to subscribe, and you'll see any future recipes that I do put up. If you give the dish a go and you've enjoyed it, probably comment down below as well. And even if you try and make it yourself, post me a picture. That would be great to see how yours all turned out and what you all thought about it. Okay. So there we go. That's it. That's my beef flank with Mooli. I'll see you next time.